Okay, so news of the week, and tomorrow I of course will be doing the CCL review for the quarterfinal second leg, and unless if Sporting KC does not turn around their 2-1 deficit against Independente, yeah, you are going to kind of expect a very similar video to what happened last week when I did the review for the first leg. And it's kind of a little bit of a spoiler to tell you that things have not gone well in CCL for MLS team. But that video, of course, is tomorrow. Now we're going to be talking about news of the week, and some of these news actually happened last week, so you guys probably have heard about this, but I'm still putting it on there because it's the news of the week. It's the news that happened in the past 7 days. Joe Corona is going to the Galaxy from Club Tijuana, and this is a Giovanni Dos Santos replacement, clearly, and it's, from what I also read, it looked like the Galaxy wanted Corona for a very long time, and now they finally have him. I guess they decided that, once we get rid of Dos Santos, we might as well just approach a guy that we always want, and that, of course, is Joe Corona. Now, I don't know how well he's done with Tijuana. I heard some people said that he hasn't really started with Tijuana, so I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a good replacement or not. Whether if he can, of course, have that can be as good as what Giovanni Dos Santos was. DC United is eager to re-sign Lucho Acosta, so Acosta, of course, is in his last year of contract, and DC, obviously, they want to re-sign him. They don't want to have a situation of what happened in this offseason where Acosta almost left them and were literally just minutes away from signing with PSG, but obviously that move didn't work, and now they're looking to try to secure him on a long-term deal, which, for Acosta, I wonder would he decide to sign it, because it seemed like he really wanted to go to Europe. Does he want to maybe stay a couple of years and then go to Europe? We shall see. Remy Gard, of course, is rumored to go to Lyon, and this actually didn't really age very well in terms of this news, because there's now rumor that says that he is not going to be going to Lyon, and rightfully so. Remy Gard has also said that he is in no interest of leaving Montreal. He likes Montreal, he likes the city, and it just doesn't seem most likely he is going back to his native country to manage there. But yeah, next up, Frank De Boer apologized for calling Atlanta fans spoiled in the post-game interview in that match between Atlanta versus FC Cincinnati, which they drew. And I probably should have put this in terms of the first thing to talk about in the news of the week, because this was a pretty big news. And if you guys don't know about it, basically what happened in the post-game interview, Frank De Boer pretty much openly kind of said some very negative things to the Atlanta fans, and certainly the fans that are kind of just freaking out about the situation. And they said that the fans need to kind of calm down, and that, you're being a little bit too spoiled. The fact that you expect this team to always be on top every single day, which in some way I do agree with him. I know Atlanta fans are not going to be happy about it, and they'll probably dislike this video because of it, but I think they are spoiled. And I guess this is what happened when you have been on top for so long, and that it feels like Atlanta, throughout their 2 years in MLS, they haven't really hit a tough spot. I think the only time that they might hit a tough spot was like right near the end of the year, but obviously they bounced straight back, and right now they are definitely hitting a tough spot, and they are definitely in kind of a little bit of a crisis situation. But I feel like the fans, they're kind of overreacting a little bit. I mean, I've been hearing people want De Boer out already, and I feel that is just crazy. The fact that Frank De Boer, people are calling out Frank De Boer and said that they want him to get sacked, because it's only been 5 games, and I get he has only won 1 out of the 5 games. Well, after tonight, it's 2 out of 6 games because they won tonight, but it wasn't enough for them to move on into the semifinal. And I get he hasn't done well with Atlanta, but the thing is, you got to give him time, and the system that he's trying to implement, it's definitely going to take time. I mean, nobody is calling out Mark Dos Santos or even Mateus Almeida saying that they should get out of the club, even though they're not doing very well coming into the league. So it shouldn't be the same case with Frank De Boer. And I know some people will say, well, Atlanta should always be on the top. Yes, they should be always on the top, and they should be kind of the standard for MLS. But the bottom line is, just because you're the standard of MLS doesn't mean that you always need to be on the top, and that every team is gonna hit a tough patch in their history. And right now that's what Atlanta is doing, and I think the fans just got to accept the fact that they're going to have to go through a bit of a tough patch. And if things gets worse, then maybe De Boer could be really on the hot seat. But for people that calling him out after just 6 games, that is insane. Now, what I will say about this is that, with De Boer, of course, calling Atlanta fans spoiled in front of a post-game interview and openly said it to the media, that is a very unprofessional way to handle this. And, one of the cardinal sins in terms of football is that you never lash out your fans in front of the media. I mean, the fans are there to support you, and in some cases they're paid to support you. And if you decide to lash out the fans, and those fans are already angry at you, that's a big black eye that Frank De Boer, and a big L that Frank De Boer just suffered there. And obviously he apologized for that, which rightfully so, because the fans was really on him after they called him that. But the bottom line of this story is that I just think that, one, Frank De Boer, he's got to handle this situation a little bit better. I know he is Dutch, and I know he said that in the Netherlands there's a different way to handle this, and the culture over there is definitely different than it is here. But at the same time, you still need to try to handle it. You can't just openly lash out to the fans, no matter what culture that you're dealing with right now. And as for Atlanta fans, just calm down, okay? Everything is going to be fine. You are going to make the playoffs. Sure, you got eliminated tonight. The writings was on the wall that they were going to get eliminated, but now just move on and just try to see if this will work out in the next couple of weeks. And if it doesn't work out, then you can basically say what you want. Next up, Sergio Santos is out for 4 weeks after suffering a hamstring injury in training. So for the Union, it's been a rough start for their season. This just makes it even worse. And I said the same thing about the Valenzuela situation. Anytime you have a player suffer an injury during training, it feels twice as worse when they suffer an injury during games. Because at least during games, injuries, of course, happens. In trainings, that doesn't usually happen. And, I think the only good news is at least this is not a season-ending injury, and that it is just a 4-week. He's only 4 weeks out. But still, this is the guy that they bought in, and he was supposed to be the playmaker and the goal scorer for this team, and now they lost him for 4 weeks. So, things are definitely not getting any better for the Union. And things probably won't be getting any better for the Galaxy, too. I know they, of course, acquired Joe Corona, but they have a whole ton of injuries to deal with right now, especially on the attack. I mean, their attack basically just got obliterated in these last couple of weeks. First of all, Zlatan, he's still yet to train with the Galaxy. Of course, he didn't play in that last game against FC Dallas, and it looks like he is going to miss this upcoming games too. And also, Roman Alessandrini is still out with an injury. Leggett, of course, didn't train with the team, but I'm assuming the reason why he didn't train with the team is because he has been called up by the national team. So, most likely the Galaxy is once again going to be missing their front three, and we saw last week when they missed their front three, this team just cannot operate. And in many ways, this is why I said when they sold Ola Kamara, it was a bad idea. I know fans will say that, well, if he wants to leave and basically get a better paycheck, then they should do that. Well, yeah, but here's the thing. If Zlatan went down with this team, then who's gonna play striker with them? And you know, if they didn't get rid of him, they could have just put Ola Kamara in. But because now the fact that they lost him, and the fact that they also lost a couple of the players that maybe could have played in that Zlatan role, yeah, that Ola Kamara deal is really haunting them now that they suffered these back-breaking injury up front. Next up, FC Cincinnati is about to sell out their first ever MLS opener, and this shouldn't be a very surprise because usually when you see an expansion team playing their first ever opener, it's always going to be a sold out. Even in the USL level too. And by the way, I don't usually talk about USL, but man, the USL this week was absolutely lit. There was so many sold out, mostly for those expansion teams, that it was just insane. Now, obviously, I don't know if those clubs are going to sell out for the rest of their games in the USL, but the fact that a lot of these expansion teams are selling out their first game and bring the hype around the city, it just shows you that, hey, in US, it's not just all about MLS. Look in the second division in the USL, there's as much of good support as it is in the MLS. Although, one thing that is different between here and probably the rest of the world is that there's no relegation. So, teams in the USL, they will just have to stuck. It's like the USL is another league, too. I mean, because of the whole no promotion and relegation thing, it feels like it's a complete distant league. And then finally, a new global rule change by FIFA was approved a couple of days ago, but won't go into effect until 2020. And I'm actually going to read from my phone in terms of some of these rules. So basically, some of these rules are basically going to be about handball and also the substitution procedure. Apparently, with respect to handling, all handballs will be ruled to be a deliberate or still to be penalized. So if you deliberately handballed it, then yeah, you are of course getting penalized, which is pretty obvious. I mean, it's a rule that's been around the game for a long time now. But here's something that they're pretty much changing a little bit. Handball will also be penalized in situation where the player body is made bigger by the position or her hand or arm. And the one thing it did not say there is that if the player decided to put his hand in a natural spot and he made himself bigger, it's no longer that's not a penalty. Like, even if your hand is in a natural position, if you're trying to make yourself as big as possible and it hits your hand, yeah, that could be a problem. Which is why when I see defenders, when they usually put their hands behind the back to kind of defend, if they decided to reach their hand just for a bit to hit, and even if the hand is in a natural position, yeah, that's going to be a handball. Now, unlike what it was before this rule, where that obviously wasn't a handball. And additionally, a free kick will be given in the case of an accidental handball if it directly contributes to scoring a goal or the creation of a goal score opportunity. So if you're on the attack and you're one-on-one with the keeper and basically well, not one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but you have a defender that is basically the last defender in line, and you basically hit that ball off the hand of that defender, it's now a penalty, even though he didn't purposely do it or not, which I believe in the past that was kind of, at times that was the case in MLS, and at times it wasn't. But overall, when you look at this, oh, and by the way, I haven't talked about the substitution. So the substitution is basically now players don't, when they get sub out, they don't have to basically walk toward the center circle line to get subbed off. They can just walk off the nearest boundary. And the reason why they decide to do this is because teams usually, when they're winning, they usually try to walk as slow as possible to just time waste the time remaining in the game. And now with this route, they basically just kind of decrease that kind of time wasting strategy. Although I have a feeling players are still going to like walk if their team is winning to the nearest boundary, or might as well they just go into the every time when there is a player that know that he's gonna get subbed off, all he had to do is just jog to the center circle and then basically just walk out to the nearest boundary, because I mean I guess that's probably the loophole in terms of that rules. But yeah, that of course is pretty much it for all these news of the week. Let me know in the comments below what other news that I have missed so far this week. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.